said hi. Whatever. My high school sweetheart and I were perfect for each other. Everybody knew it, except him. We were not on the same page. My entire high school class, though, they agreed with me. They voted us couple that should have been. But I had faith. I knew he would come around eventually. And then, nearly 6 years after high school, after keeping myself very available, after finally beginning therapy, not because of him, I'm not that delusional, we were still just a couple that should have been. And that felt great. But I decided that it was time. It was time to get on the same page. To get on his page, his non-romantic, eternally platonic page. So I boldly text him, asking him to brunch. We were both living in New York City at the time. I did not follow him. Again, not that delusional. So we're brunching at this intimate chain restaurant that his father had given him a Yelp discount deal to. And y'all know Ted Chu. And we're, everything is fine, I guess. And we're nearing the end, and the food is done, and then the check is paid, and then we're moving on, and I'm crossing the street, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you're going to chicken out, Smith. This is you chickening out, Smith. And then I hear this croak, and it's my voice, and I'm shouting, or am I whispering? I had an agenda, and he's looking at me, so it was real. I had an agenda for brunch. I have been operating under the belief that you were the guy for me. And without much thought, he says, I know. You fucking Han Solo, I know. So I say, what is that? I know you know. And so now the snow has started to fall. We're looking into each other's eyes, standing in front of this precious little coffee shop, little twinkle lights, and pedestrians whizzing by us. And he's apologized for never saying anything. And he's come around, and I step forward, and I start to lick my lips, and then he congratulates me for finally saying something and starts to discuss unrequited love. Ooh. One awkward hug and a couple back pats, and I was just on my way. And I was high on adrenaline. Like, my knees felt like they were solely on speed. I was empowered. I was alone, like really alone. There was no more high school crush to pretend was real. And this was like the first time I had ever really shared any shred of vulnerability, ever allowed myself to be so uncomfortable in front of someone else. And so I kept replaying it, every little detail of this monumental, life-changing moment, and I saw every time that I agreed with him, and every time that I made sure that he felt comfortable, and every time that I apologized. I had just settled on his non-romantic, eternally platonic page. I let him call everything that I had ever felt about him in the past decade unrequited love. Not only did I shack up on his page, but I had let him write out mine. Now, I would like to think that from that moment on, I never let my point of view be taken away from me ever again. But I'm not that delusional. Up until this point, I had done a pretty good job of staying disconnected from any point of view. of keeping my page pretty blank. It was the safest course of action, as I believe some pretty awful things about who I was, and the shame of anyone knowing as much would shatter my very fragile hold of things. Let's just say that taking care of myself was the lowest priority, and keeping up the illusion that I was fine was the highest. I remained casual and pacified. Just a few weeks later, when he invited me to a small gathering of friends for his birthday, I accept the invitation, telling him, though, that I'd have to come by after a fundraiser that I had to attend in Manhattan. Very chill. But the seal had been broken ever so slightly. I had tasted empowerment, brushed up against self-love. And with this stunning new shade of confidence, I set out that evening. I go to the fundraiser, having eaten a single hard-boiled egg for the entire day. I take full advantage of the open bar. Throwing back like 4 glasses of wine and a vodka soda, round it up. Just half look at my directions to the party and walk out, having swiped a handle of vodka in one of those miniature little silver briefcases filled with poker chips. It was from the gift table. Clearly, confidence looks different on different people. The next thing I know, I'm just like on this street corner in Brooklyn, staring down at my 4 iPhones, trying to make sense of a blurry map, and a voice, a sweet voice asking, "Do you need any help?" Well, I sure did. I turn and I see this young man, short brown hair, kind of cute, with 2 hula hoops over his shoulder. "Why do you have 2 hula hoops?" "Oh, I'm going to this hoop party and this one lights up." And I was like, "What? I'm going to this party." Just cutting him off. "And you said you'd help me, so help me." And he did. And I fell hard on my ass down some stairs. And I lectured him on debt as I used my practically maxed out credit card on a cab for us. I recounted our whole history with the birthday boy, how we were the couple that had never been, and I even read him the birthday card that I had written, where I emphasized that our love was not unrequited, but unconditional. Hoop Boy advised me not to give this to him. And then we arrived at the party. Without hesitation, I bring the stranger with 2 hula hoops inside. And he's a hit. I mean, all the 7 or so people that remained were very interested in knowing about Hoop Boy. Like, how did we meet? When did we meet? Why there were 2? Did he actually know anyone there? While my gift of stolen vodka and poker chips were overlooked and underappreciated, the fact that I was taking people's unfinished alcoholic beverages and being a little too loud for a dinner party was not. But it didn't really matter. I found this box of donuts and I was picking out all these unlit birthday candles. And then I even sat seductively with Double Hooper, but I overheard people and started calling him. And he told me how jealous he could see my friend was and insisted that the birthday card was a concession too early to be made. Drunkenly giggling at this suggestion while licking chocolate donut glaze off of my fingers, trying to look sexy. I was a mess, but I was in a brave new world. Not that I was showing anything I was proud of, or not that anyone else probably thought that much of what I was doing, but this hula hooping fairy godman had gotten me to the ball, far from what I had usually shown the world. High on rejection, I had showed up wearing my pain. the awfulness that had been accumulating inside for so long was making its way out. I was so vulnerable and uncomfortable once again. I was so loudly not fine, but my world wasn't shattered because of it. I certainly woke up humiliated and badly bruised. Literally, the bruise on my ass was unreal, but I was intact. I still had my home, my dear roommate who scraped me up off our steps outside of our apartment because I had passed out and left my keys at the party. I still had my sense of humor, which really came in handy as I endured for months messages from people that had anything to do with hula hoops. And believe it or not, I even had my friend who has never said anything about my performance on his birthday or the card that I had indeed slipped him. He may never understand the love that is between us, but that's all right, because from my point of view, love means never having to say you're sorry. And I never will.